everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast, and of course, we are here with Pags, Stat Guy. How you doing, guys?
I'm doing well. Let me just start off. Congratulations, Stat Guy. They were able to pull it off against the best pitcher in all of Wisconsin. That guy gave up 6 hits and 1 run. I think it was a 1-0 game.
1-0.
That's
awesome.
Yeah, actually, sounds like that other coach was just outcoached. A 1-0 game is a coaching game.
I mean, yeah. That had to have been a fun watch, though. Because, you have a 1-0 game, you have one pitcher that gives up 6 hits, and the other one gave up 2?
Gave up 2, and then we also robbed a 2-run homer in the top of the 4th.
Which would have been the difference in the game.
Yep.
So, that is amazing. So now you guys head to Nationals, right?
We have a Super Regional first in Osseo, which is in Eau Claire. And then after that, we go to Cary, Illinois or something like that. And then if we get through that, then the national championship is in North Carolina.
Okay. All right.
Start getting the money together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some travel.
It's some travel. At least the hotels this weekend are very cheap.
That is not the case here in Seattle.
As we are finding out, in Seattle, it costs $1,000 just to stay at the hostel, just about.
Welcome to the Pacific Northwest. You would think we were on an island somehow with as expensive.
I was trying to figure out if there was any room in Chaz, that country Chaz. I didn't know if I needed my passport or anything, but
yeah, they are as successful as Venezuela now. That is long gone, but was a weird environment for sure.
Got you.
And the fact that they let that happen was even weirder.
I agree 100%. But maybe I could just stay with Wen. I know that she has got to be all excited for me to come up there.
Yeah, well, where are you? I didn't think you were actually here in the Pacific Northwest.
We'll find out here shortly.
Absolutely.
So, worst case scenario, I will have to just bring a whole bunch of Benadryl.
Just snuggling with cats.
Yeah, just what I love to do. But yeah, I'm all excited for this trip. I just finally out here near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. You're out by me, close.
Yeah.
In fact, well then here we go. Something for you that you could actually then see me at over there. I am going to be throwing out the first pitch for the Lancaster Barnstormers on August 24th. So you can come over there when that's going to be very close.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Yeah. I'm excited. I have never thrown out a first pitch before in my life.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, I used to be a pitcher playing softball.
Sure.
So I pitched, but anyways, so I'm all excited for this trip, and it's going to be a fun one. And my month of August is going to start off strong and end strong, and in the middle, have some moments, I guess.
Yeah. And Scott, we'll get to that in a minute, but we got to talk about how bad our teams performed last night. Mariners lose 14-7, Phillies lose 14-4, and the Astros found a way to lose that game, which I appreciate. But that leaves the Mariners still tied for, still tied for first place in our division. But I guess if nothing else, it's encouraging for when you guys get to town. Maybe we're both just going to suck a lot, and it will make for interesting baseball. Because when two bad teams play each other, it's at least a good game.
Well, I'll be honest, I think they need to get away, the Phillies. I feel like that it's going to be important for them to get out of town right now. Sure. I kind of expect that they win tonight, and it seems like every time that they do win lately, it happens to be by the score of 8-0. So if I was a betting person, I would actually put $10 on the exact score of 8-0 versus the Yankees. That
All
being
right.
said, I don't know that that's going to really be the case. I think it'll probably be a little bit closer of a game. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I have to assume for Seattle that our pitching's going to do a little better. Like maybe not throw batting practice out there. Um, at least I'm hoping.
right. Well, so am I. I'm hoping that we actually can bring our bats.
Yeah, so we don't have any of those, so we just have to rely on the pitching to like do the job.
We don't have any of those.
I mean, I realize they show up to the field, but our guys just don't know how to swing them. There was this compilation. I wish I could have found it. It was one of those Instagram reels that you saw and you were trying to save and then it disappeared forever. But it was over the course of 2 games, and there was like 20 strikeouts, and it was just a compilation of all the strikeouts. It was brutal. Funny watch, but
yeah, I'd say it was tough to watch the Phillies last night. I mean, obviously Wheeler did not have it early. You know, he had let up. I think Judge wound up with 2 home runs. Chisholm wound up with 2 home runs. Other people were hitting home runs. I think in all told, there was like 7 home runs in the game by the Yankees themselves. I think the Phillies hit a couple of home runs too, but they just did not have, you know, in the 5th inning, he had 104 pitches. That kind of gives you a good detail of where he was yesterday. But I mean, I'm not concerned. I'm really not concerned as of right now. I know that this is the dog days of summer. And right now, some Phillies fans are straight weenies. They're like, oh man, we're going to be one and done. We're going to be out in the wild card. I'm like, we're not even going to be in the wild card. We still have a 3-game lead on the best record in baseball. And you're crying about whatever.
exactly.
We cannot lose a championship in July. It's impossible to do.
Yep.
So all this crying, wah, wah, wah. Stop it. Stop it. You know, we're used to having this in the beginning of the season. We got to fight our way through. We're already way ahead of the game here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys started off amazing. You know, on the Mariners side, they gave up 3 home runs, but it was the 7-run third that, I mean, the game was already over because the fact that they put up 7 runs is an outlier, because generally 4 runs is their magic number. And so for them to battle back that far, but it didn't matter because they had a 7-run third, a 3-run fourth, and then the 5th and 6th were 2 runs apiece. So, I mean, it was just, I mean,
they
were
kept putting up crooked numbers.
What's that? They
just kept putting up crooked numbers every inning.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just like, you get a run and you get a run. I mean, Oprah was on that team.
At least you guys have a semi-direction of what you want to do. We're a last place club, and we are buying players for whatever the hell reason we are buying players.
Well, and you guys had somebody who had his debut and got kicked out of the game, right?
His Cubs debut, not his MLB debut, but yeah, we traded for Nate Pearson on Saturday,
who plunked a guy right in the head.
So yeah, he used to be the number 8 prospect in baseball, and then he went through some control issues and threw a good first inning. Started the second inning good, gave up a home run, and then the next guy he hits in the head at 96. So they throw him out of the game just because he hit a batter after he gave up a home run, but I'm pretty sure he didn't try to hit a batter. But then we go and trade.
It did look like that ball trailed.
It came like right. If you watched it in slow motion, the ball was slipping out of his hand before he even let it go. So that's one of those things where he didn't have a good grip on the ball, and wherever it went, that's where it was going to go. But then on Sunday, we traded Christopher Morel to the Tampa Bay Rays for Isaac Paredes.
Yeah, mid-game.
Why are we trading for Isaac Paredes when we are not even going anywhere?
Yep. I just like that it was a mid-game trade. Like, those always crack me up. That would be like going to work, and your boss is like, yeah, so I understand you're in the middle of your shift, but we're going to send you down the street and we got a prospect and a pack of Big Red, and hope it works out for you.
And then to make matters worse, Jameson Taillon was probably the top pitching candidate on the market. The Cubs freaking started him last night instead of sitting, and then he goes and gives up 7 runs in 4 innings. So I'm like, whatever momentum you had, now you just killed that.
Well, the reason why I thought that them being buyers, because the Rays are doing a yard sale. So, and buying players from the Rays isn't a bad thing because they're all young guys. You have control of them for the 4 or 5 years. So that's really the purpose of that. They weren't looking at buying for this year. They were looking at, hey, they're selling, they're having a yard sale. I'm going to buy too, especially if they're interested in any of the things we've got. I mean, obviously they weren't super excited to keep the guy that they traded for. And like I said, if the Rays are just going to, hey, give me whatever you can. I'll take gum. I'll take, Tootsie Rolls and maybe a can of soda. Perfect. Why not do that? That makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like they traded for Zach Eflin, who was probably been one of their better pitchers this year. Which I actually like Zach Eflin. I wish he was still in the Phillies, but that's life. But in the meantime, it's like I said, I think that was a move for future years. It had nothing to do with
it was, but at the same time, we have 2 or 3 prospects now that are going to be blocked for the next 3 years because of that move. And that's the part that I don't understand. It's like I get building towards the future, but now you just block 3 of these prospects by adding Paredes, who's under control for 3 years.
Right. No.
That's a move that doesn't make sense for me. Like if they were going to buy, I was okay with getting Vladimir Guerrero because his contract is up after next year. I was okay with getting some of these players that can help you this year and next year just because it helps you for that aspect. But getting a guy that's got 3 years of control after this season and is now blocking 3 other people, that's a move that doesn't make sense to me.
I hear you. Well, maybe just as extra better trade bait. Who knows? Hey, what's up, Rob? Hey, just so that you are aware, I'm still not out on possibly living on the couch. I realize that I may have to bring a case of Benadryl with me, but yeah, when I found out that staying even at the hostel cost like $25,000, your couch with all the cats are looking a lot better.
Yeah, no, it is one downside to coming to Seattle is everything is expensive for no reason.
Well, at least I'm happy that Rob gets some pussy.
Yeah, that's right. It was one of the things that's really funny is everybody talks about how expensive Hawaii is, but if you live in the Pacific Northwest, you end up flying out there and you're like, oh, I mean, this is kind of normal.
Yeah, it's just the same prices as here. It's like, ooh,
exactly. Outside of like milk, everything else is pretty much the same prices here. So it was. I was expecting a sticker shock when I got there, and I was like, "Oh, we just get ripped off here. Cool."
Do you guys remember Brett Phillips?
Brett Phillips,
not offhand.
The baseball player.
Sounds familiar, actually.
He used to be like an outfielder for the Rays, the Brewers, the White Sox. Kind of he was like that nerdy guy that always wore the glasses.
I kind of remember that too.
So he got DFA'd back in 2021. He's been playing semi-pro the last 3 years, and now he's making a comeback as a pitcher, as opposed to an outfielder, throwing 98 miles an hour right now, and he struck out 6 straight hitters yesterday in the independent leagues.
Nice.
Good for him.
So now he's going to attempt to come back as a pitcher as opposed to an outfielder.
Well, when you're throwing 98 miles an hour, you might as well.
Right?
Let's be for real. That would be the one thing. Like if JT Realmuto decided that he didn't want to play catcher anymore, I think that's where he would go. I think he'd become a pitcher because he can throw Like I think they clocked him throwing to second base a few times at 102, 103
Same thing with
miles an
that
hour.
guy from the Rockies. Same thing that with Elias Diaz, who throws like 94, 95 from the catcher position.
Yeah, so it's like there's, I mean, it's it's possible. You know, if you've got the arm strength, why not? You know what I mean? It's not like right now baseball is premised, or the pitching position is premised off of speed. That's all you need right now is to pitch like a 99, 100 miles an hour, 101 mile an hour. The faster you can pitch, you are going to get a spot in Major League Baseball. And, you know, it's like Miller is a good rendition of that. Throws at 103, 104, 103, 104. I mean, we got one that only throws at 100, and he lets up a lot more runs now because I feel like it's not fast enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's going to be interesting when somebody finally gets to the 105, 106, 107 mark on a consistent basis. And that's coming. That is absolutely coming.
The guy from the Angels is about as close as you can get. That Matt Joyce.
What's
He
he?
was at-
What's
he
he at?
was- He's at 103 to 104 consistently. I think his average fastball right now is 103.8.
You know, what would be good is if you're throwing at 103 consistently and then throwing the changeup that comes in at about 86.
And then you got that what's his nuts from the Twins, Johan Duran. He's at like 102.6. Mason Miller's at like 102.4. Those are like the top three average fastballs right now.
Well, Miller's going to have it'll be interesting to see if Miller can keep that up now that he broke his hand.
Yeah.
I think it'd be better if you could throw like that Jamie Moyer off-speed pitch where it was like 68.
Well, that was like Fernando Rodney back in his prime when Fernando Rodney was with the Rays. He was throwing like 97, 98 consistently with his fastball, and then he had an 81 mile an hour changeup in his back pocket that literally looked like 65.
Oh yeah, yeah, especially after that, right? So you'd swing, almost be able to set back up and try again.
Because he'd go like 98 mile an hour fastball, then he had like a slider that was around 90, and then all of a sudden go back to 97, 98, and then 81 mile an hour changeup.
Well, but another thing that I mean, we make fun of maybe even a little bit, I think, on the show, where the position players that have gone into pitch.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
other than a couple, like I think Garrett Stubbs wound up getting lit up as with the Phillies, but before that, they were pitching at an average of like 50 miles an hour and not letting up any runs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So, I mean, there is something to be said for that because these batters are so conditioned to hit fast pitching that slow pitching actually might be worthwhile. A knuckleballer right now would probably do very, very well. The problem is with knuckleballs, you never know where the ball's going. So you can't really have any consistency. But if you had a fastball that was only going about 65 miles an hour, but it had some movement to it, like you'd be all right with that. It'd be like, oh, like these batters aren't used to that, so they're not getting good wood on the ball.
And that's what I told my kids on Sunday when we lost on Sunday 4-2. We're used to seeing like 82 to 86 consistently is what we're used to seeing at this time of year. The pitcher they threw on Sunday was throwing 67, 68. So when you're not used to seeing stuff that slow, like you're so far ahead of everything during that game, where all you're doing is getting weak contact, pop flies, and like weak grounders. It's not something that you're used to.
And that's where you have to actually move up in the box.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get used to it yourself in the back of the box. You gotta definitely watch pitches. You gotta start getting timing down. That's the one thing that I am really frustrated about with the Phillies is they are a lot of the time one pitch swinging. And especially when a guy just comes in, when a relief pitcher just comes in, you guys got guys on base and, it's like, all right, I don't want to swing at the very first pitch. You shouldn't swing at the very first pitch. It's maybe one out of every 300 times that a relief pitcher comes in and the very first pitch goes out of the yard.
Yeah.
What's it hurt to watch a strike? You know?
Yeah.
I'm always first pitch watching. Always. Throw it in there, lob it in there. I don't care. I'm watching the first pitch. Always.
I mean, unless the thing looks like money. I mean, like if you think you can turn on it, I wouldn't watch it.
My third at bat. Like, so when I played softball, and I know softball's so much different than baseball, and we're playing high arc, which doesn't mean anything either. You know what I mean? But like, I'd watch that first pitch every time. And they knew I was going to watch it, and so they would throw a strike most of the time. If the guy knew what he was doing and knew how to throw strikes, my third at bat, or maybe even my fourth at bat, I might go up with the intention of swinging at the first pitch. But that's it. You know what I mean? Other than that, like anytime they switch pitchers, I want to see one.
Yeah.
I want to see if you can get it over the plate. Let's figure that out.
Sure.
You sound like
I definitely softball. I definitely, just because the high arc, like it's easy for them to miss the strike zone anyway. Right. So like I definitely get it in softball for sure.
You sound like my child. He refuses to swing at the first pitch, and half the time the first pitch is the best pitch he sees in his at bat.
Well, which is okay. But
because he went 2 for 8 this past week, and by not swinging at the damn first pitch, he could have won 5 for 8.
So he's a liability. I got you.
No, he's still hitting at 460. He's still hitting at 468. He's not a liability, but it's just like you got to get this whole letting that first pitch mindset go by. If it's there, swing at it. I don't care.
Yeah, but again, you have to have the mindset to do that. Like it's like you have to get some timing down.
Sure.
You need to. It's like, and if that's your best pitch, then your third at bat, you go up with the mindset that you might be first pitch swinging. Then you got to put yourself into that mindset. There would be times where it was rare. Like I played in softball leagues that I was under. You know, like I shouldn't have been in that league. I was in like the B's and C league where I should have been in like the F or rec league. You know what I mean? And when I played in F or rec league, there were times where I was their leading hitter. Like I was the top hitter. Like they would put me in the 3 or 4 spot because I could smash the ball. But I went up with a plan. Now, when you go up against, like when you're going ahead, like when I'm in B and C level, there would be times I'd have to go up there with the mindset of swinging at the first pitch because that first pitch was going to be the only pitch I was going to see. These pitchers are much better than in rec league. So, and I would do well sometimes. Other times I would do like crap.
I mean, that's baseball.
Right. But it would amaze me like how, and I don't know what it is that I do that does it so that I can get so much power behind the ball. But there are sometimes I can hit that ball country mile.
Yep.
And there are other times that I can't. Don't know why. It's been a minute since I've swung a bat, so I wouldn't trust me to hit a country mile now. But
well, and the thing that's funny is like if I'm playing normal baseball, I can smash that thing forever. If I'm playing softball, I have a harder time because you swing the bat a little bit differently when you're carrying a softball than you do a normal hardball. So it's just a different type of swing. But like there will be times that I can get good contact on a softball, but if I'm playing with a normal hardball, like I can play home run derby in a normal field. But yeah, for softball, whatever reason, like I can drop it in the gap, but I hit very few actual home runs. That being said, that's not really a problem because so many of those leagues limit the amount of things you can put over the fence. So
we don't have fences, so it's run all day type stuff. Gotcha. And like when I'm just normal hitting, I'll pull the ball most of the time. When I'm hitting for power, so and I'm a right-handed bat, so most of my stuff goes to left field. Sure. However, when I'm hitting for power, it goes right center.
Okay.
you know, and it's just that's where that my power swing goes, and and like I said, you know, it's coming too. Like it's like all of a sudden I can smash the ball, and they're like, "Where the frig did that come from?"
So
You know what I
where
mean?
do you like the ball? Like where's the spot where you get the most power? Because
Outside, you know,
okay,
and it doesn't matter. Like outside, maybe waist high, you know, like up
okay.
higher type thing.
So
And I
you
have a
actually
very
pick
open
spot.
stance. Like
Okay.
I almost am like facing the batter face to face, and then turn in.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, and just because by doing that, it helps me get my timing down because
Okay.
I like it's not the swing that does it. I definitely have a good hip motion.
Sure.
And that's where all my power comes from. So when I'm doing that and I'm getting it the right way, I will, you know, clock it really well. You
I
know,
got you.
and that's why the power goes that way, because it's usually on the outside. I get good wood on it. Like I stand on the very edge of the batter box anyways, because I want full extension. I
I
want my
got you.
arms fully extended
Yeah.
on that. I don't want to. I'm not a good, you know, inside.
Wrist speed guy. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and so I actually where I hit for power is about the same spot. I like it a little bit outside, a little bit higher, kind of in between shoulder height and waist. Like in there, I'm blasting that thing forever. The swing that feels awesome is that kind of low and outside, but I tend to lift more than carry. And so although that swing feels fantastic, it just doesn't have the distance that you would need.
You're like golfing it out almost.
Yeah, well, kind of, right? Like it's that Griffey swing. Like you're down there and you're just like, that should be awesome. And then it's like, warning track.
See,
Crap.
now that swing for me, like if I get the bat on the ball, that ball will travel. Because at that point because like I said, I'm in the back side of the batter's box.
Sure.
So I'm on the very edge, almost like on the outside of the batter's box. When I stand open, my 1 foot is out of the batter's box.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, obviously, we're not playing Major League Baseball. So as long as you have 1 foot in the batter's box, you are okay.
Yeah.
At least in our league, the way we played. So like, I would stay open faced. But like, if I stayed like where I was, you know, in a traditional stance, I almost have to do a dance. Like I almost run to the ball to hit it.
You
You know,
have to go or swing it.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
Because so, I mean, I've seen people do that with wiffle ball a lot, you know, when they were playing like, you know, backyard wiffle ball stuff. When you do it in softball, like you have to have a good, it's like walking up to kick the ball on a kickoff. You almost have to have the right timing, because if you don't have that timing, it's done. But I need to have my foot come up. So that's why I stand open, because I have to have my foot come up to get into the stance to be able to hit it the way I want it to.
Yeah.
It also allows me to open up the at bat some, so that if I want to put it somewhere,
Sure.
I can.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's Scott, one of my favorite movies.
So, of course, I knew this was coming.
Oh, of course.
Frankie showing up. He's like, "Oh, we want to get." Frankie wouldn't have even been around had it been the other way around. But yeah, it was Bremerton.
Nah, that's too far away. That's too far away.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm gonna take your word for it.
I think,
anything that you have to take a ferry on, it's gonna waste too much of your time doing that, going back and forth. So
I think the best swing that I've seen to generate power, like you guys are saying, is if you go back and watch the 2002 home run derby when it was at Miller Park. The swing that Sammy Sosa had in that home run derby.
Oh, sure.
Did not even move his feet at all. Like all he did was kind of lean back a little bit, drop his hands a little bit, and everything was like knee to thigh, just cranked it. All shoulder, all arm strength, just nothing.
So the main takeaway is if you roid up a bit, they all
use a corked bat.
That's what they all do in the home run derby. People still admit they use cork bats in the home run derby now.
They should.
That's what it's for. And
Yeah, why
even when he got busted for his cork bat, he literally admitted that he's like, I use these for batting practice and I use these for the home run derby.
Sure.
Like everyone does it. It's just that for whatever reason, his bat got switched out at that game for the cork bat because he always has 3 bats that he used for batting practice in BP. And then he had 4 bats that he used for the regular game. And somehow his batting practice bats got switched out with his regular game bats. Like he took ownership of it. He never like shied away from it. He's like, this is what I use them for. I have this many cork bats. This is what they're literally used for. They're used for BP and they're used for the home run derby. That's what they're used for.
And they found it because he broke a bat, right?
Yeah, the bat broke because he took a ball off the end of it and the bat broke. And then when the umpire picked it up, he noticed the cork inside of it.
Yeah. No, I remember it happening.
And the bad part about it was the equipment manager's second day on the job. So I'm guessing that the equipment manager just took the bats that he was using for batting.
Didn't even really think about it.
Didn't even think twice about it. Just kind of stuck them in like his bat rack in the dugout. Didn't even think that he used different bats.
And that's fair.
Like, so Sammy got a bad rap on it, obviously, but it's at the same time, it's like every player uses these for home run derbies.
It was forgotten about. It was forgotten about 2 weeks later. You know what I mean? It didn't matter. Listen, all the other things that were going, they were doing besides all that. And Frankie, talking about steroids, Judge looks good on those steroids. This cycle's doing him good. That was the joke I was telling all the Yankees fans that were in Philadelphia last night.
Yeah.
It's amazing how quiet they get because they don't know. I'm making a joke about it. I am not saying he's a steroid guy, but
yeah,
but they think he might be. That's what's funny.
Yeah, there's no crying in baseball, but there's definitely crying amongst fan bases. Mm-hmm. There is so much crying in baseball.
Yeah, and like I said, it was funny to me that there was, when you say that, they do get quiet. They're like,
oh yeah,
no, they don't know what to say. They're like, yeah, no, he's not on steroids. Okay,
we know of.
And like I said,
he's a monster of a human.
Yeah, he's a a big dude. So I can't imagine. Like I'm thinking that he's not on steroids, but when you mention it to them, they get nervous.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, "What have you heard?"
They're like, allegedly. That's what one person said. Allegedly. Jazz got 2 homers yesterday. So were you even watching the game, Frankie? Doesn't even look like you were watching the game.
He just
he was probably stuck. He was probably stuck having to watch his 8 kids, and he didn't get a chance to.
8 kids. He's hanging out with Tyreek.
He's pumping out the prizes over there. So, but anyways.
Good stuff. That gets us to the midway point. Let's go ahead and do our station break real quick and then be back on the other side.
This is Reggie Jones, owner and founder of Air Sports Academy. Air is based on 4 core principles: heart, education, integrity, resiliency. Air is about developing student athletes physically and mentally through training, mentorship, and effective marketing. We've created a platform and a blueprint for our state to shine in the brightest of lights. I created this program because it was a need for our state. We needed to have the light shine on the student athletes in our region, and now that is happening at an all-time and undeniable rate. We created a lane for the kids in our state to get their college education paid for and set their families up for future success. We created an environment where serious athletes can now come compete fearlessly. We've achieved this through our variety of elite programs. Our 6-month off-season program, where first-year starters or seasoned vets can all come develop. Our 5-on-5 program, which is all about our line. Our youth tackle program, which is the first and only youth tackle team from the state of Washington to ever win a major national championship. Our 7-on-7 program, which is ranked top 10 in the country every year. our high school 11-on-11 club tackle program, which creates a unique and much-needed opportunity for our kids. Our college prep program, which allows our graduates to come back from college and prepare for the upcoming season. Our track and field program, which creates an opportunity for our young air boys and air girls to continue to get faster. When you're a national program, you receive national respect, which is why when you look at recruiting boards and top player lists from around the country, you'll always find players from Air on those lists. Which is why college coaches from some of the most prestigious schools around the country come into our facility to recruit our players. The Penn State, Alabama, Oregon, Stanford, Florida State, the list goes on. Our players are being recruited, offered, and committing to some of the top schools in the nation. The experience our players and families receive is second to none. We offer a competitive brand of sports at Air. We are the ball. And with that comes great responsibility. Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
All right, that was good timing because I had to get a phone call.
Nice.
Yeah, working on the schedule for the sports bar series this year. So that was one of the bar locations getting back to me. But yeah, so if you're watching and you don't know what it is and you're here in the Northwest, we do a Thursday Night Football sports bar series where we pick a different sports bar location and we travel basically from Portland, Oregon to Vancouver, BC. And we're in a different city, different bar each week for Thursday Night Football. So working on our concert tour basically right now.
And Frankie, I don't get to leave a game early ever. So I don't care. I know that you don't get to go to games because you have 18 kids, and that and I think another one on the way. It's like I know that you're stuck in the house and your bandwagon is all there. And no, I didn't leave crying. I still took pictures with all the Yankees fans, because I'm that guy. Because last time I checked, you're still in second place in your division, and we still lead Major League Baseball by 3 games in our record. So you can say all you want to. You can't win a championship in July, and we definitely can't lose it in July.
Especially, if you're head-to-head at some point and you look back on this and be like, we lost.
Dang it.
It's all right. I'm going to maybe put a couple bucks on the fact that we'll win 8-0 tonight because the last 4 games that we've won were 8-0. So I expect tonight is going to be another 8-0 game where we spank you and you guys can't hit the ball at all because you blew your load last night with all the hits.
The comment section is good stuff today.
Hey, at least we were there in the championship. You can't say that since 2009.
I mean, as a Mariners fan,
where all the steroids in the world. Hey, listen, if I took all those steroids, I would have beaten your team too.
Man,
it's okay. It's all right. We know, bandwagon. So I don't think 10. I think 8-0.
Man.
But that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes hey, listen, every team's is going to win 60. Every team's going to lose 60. It's what happens with the other 42 that makes the biggest difference.
I mean, unless you're the White Sox, they might not even win 40.
They may not win 40.
Yeah, no, they're on pace right now to be the worst team to suit up since 1900.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
They're on a 15-game losing streak right now.
Which reset their franchise record.
Which they said earlier this year at 14 games.
Exactly.
This is their 4th losing streak of at least 9 games or more this year.
It's insane. But, I mean, as few wins as they have, the streaks have to be kind of long, right? So, yeah.
I agree. You gotta have long losing streaks to be able to suck as bad as that.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't. What's their best winning streak this year?
They had a 5-game winning streak at like the end of April. They started the year like 2-21, if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
And they lost like their first 14 or 15 games on the road. So they started 2-21. And then all of a sudden, heading into May, they were 7-21. So they won like the last 5 games in April to get the 7-21, and then it was just all downhill after that.
Yeah, but that White Sox loss is going to probably be a minus 450.
The White Sox are playing the freaking Royals right now.
That's still a minus 450.
No, I know, but Bobby Witt Jr. just became the first player in Major League Baseball history to have 3 4-hit games against the White Sox in one season.
That's
and he still has 3 more games against them this week, so he might have 4 hits tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday.
I mean, a White Sox loss should be about a minus 1,000 at this point.
That actually probably wouldn't be a bad idea, moving them to Nashville. I mean, I understand. I mean, I guess there's some people in Chicago that are still fans of 2 baseball teams, but I mean, is there really enough space for 2 baseball teams in Chicago?
I mean, not 2 bad teams.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference is at least when the Cubs suck, they still have people show up to their games versus the White Sox aren't even getting like 10 or 11,000 people at games right now.
So, I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, it's
like even when the White Sox were good 2 years ago, that year that they had Tony La Russa, where they went like 92-70 that year, they were still only getting 26 to 30,000 people per game, which is still only like 70% capacity.
Because everybody's afraid to go to that part of the city.
Exactly. Like that's why they're proposing a new stadium that's going to be more downtownish as opposed to being like dead in the south side where their one is right now. But it's just like good luck affording a $2 billion stadium when you can't play baseball and you can't get people to show up right now. Like, where's that money going to come from? Because you ain't going to have it right now.
That's why I think Nashville would be a great spot. You would have people go. Yeah. I would maybe change the name from the White Sox to something else.
I mean, and no, Scott, I would not rather watch paint dry because I like watching baseball no matter what the quality of play is. I think it would just be hilarious going to watch the White Sox and seeing what record they set the day they're playing.
Yeah. I mean, they're setting the wrong kind of records, but yeah. I mean, at this point, I hope they just like lose out, be the worst team to ever suit up.
Well, I mean, do you want to know how much futility is in that franchise right now? They've already told their manager that he will be fired after the year is over.
Yeah.
So why, as the manager, are you still managing if they've already told you that you're gone?
Prosperity, yeah.
Like they literally told him in June. They said you are fired at the end of the year, but like they said you are fired at the end of the year. So why, as a manager, are you sitting there watching this shit show if you've already known that you're not going to be back after this year?
I mean, you're still pitching. You're still coaching a major league club, I guess. So I mean, you're getting fired. You might as well write it out.
Put the major league in quotations on that one.
No. Like it's like major league, right? Yeah. Just a bit outside. Like that is their team.
Not even. Yeah, but like ownership, like how long have the White Sox been around?
1896, 1898.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Okay, so they've been around for 100. If the Phillies are, how is it that the Phillies are the oldest franchise in all of professional sports, and the White Sox aren't like at that number? Because that's 126 years.
Phillies are what, 1876, something like that.
Is it?
It has to be something. Because, the White Sox started in 1894, and they moved to Chicago in 1900. So
were they always the White Sox?
So in 1894, they were the Sioux City Cornhuskers. And then in 1895 to 1899, they were the St. Paul Saints. Then they were the Chicago White Stockings from 1900 to 1903, and then they just went straight White Sox in 1904.
1881 for the Phillies.
Yeah, I would move to Nashville, call ourselves like the Green Sox or something. I would disregard any.
The White Stockings, I like it.
Well, it was the Red Stockings too. I mean, it was they had, and it was the stocks. That's what it was. You had those things that went up, like the stirrups that went up on your pants. That's
Yeah, the Phillies are the second oldest baseball team. Cincinnati
who?
Cincinnati Reds.
Okay.
Cincinnati Reds were founded in 1866.
Oh.
And were called the Cincinnati Red Stockings in 1869 before making the move to the Cincinnati Reds in 1897.
Yeah, so that's why they're because that actually they were something different, and they didn't sell the franchise, just a new franchise began. That's why that is the case. But that's why Cincinnati, for the longest time, always opened up the baseball season.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were Cincinnati is kind of where originally I think baseball started. The professional league baseball started.
And then you have the I take that back. You have the Pittsburgh Pirates that were 1871. The Chicago Cubs were 1871.
Yeah. So how is it that the Phillies are the oldest franchise?
I think they were the oldest franchise because they stayed in the same city.
I mean, staying in the same location, I don't think would matter.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, they have the Phillies listed as the seventh oldest baseball team at 1881.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well,
Used to be called the Philadelphia Quakers.
Yep.
That is correct. And of course, Philadelphia did have two teams at one point where we had the Philadelphia Athletics, and then they went to Kansas City to be the Kansas City Athletics, and then they moved to Oakland to be the Oakland Athletics, and now they're going to move to Sacramento to be the Sacramento Athletics.
No, they're
They
not
eventually end up in
They're
Vegas.
actually not going to be called the Sacramento Athletics.
They're going to be the California Athletics.
They're just going to be called the Sacramento baseball team. That's literally what they're going to be called until they move to Vegas.
So they're going to take a page out of Utah's.
And the old Washington football team, yeah, just because it's not a permanent location, so they're not going to give them a permanent name. They're literally just going to be called the Sacramento Baseball Club.
It seems like you would just leave the athletics part.
Yeah, well, that's
because nobody's going to buy that gear.
That's not how they think.
Wow.
Well, it don't matter because the whole 8,000 people are not going to show up there either. So
true. Well, that's not true. Opening day
tickets are $1 for next year.
Yeah, so the stadium will probably be, there'll be people in it because they haven't had baseball. So they'll go to a game, be like, wow, this team's bad. And then that'll be a wrap.
They'll get their 18,000 people in for that first game, and then that'll be the most they have for the rest of the month.
No question.
Well, at least they'll make 18 grand.
Yep, for one day.
Right? Yeah, it's a good thing they get paid by the other teams because they're not going to make any money on their own. They're certainly not going to sell any of those, jerseys.
Well, I'm just interested to see if, he brings the vendor machines with him so that he can charge all of his ball players for sodas.
Yeah, that's right. He's not even going to buy new machines. He's going to drag some old ones.
Exactly.
The fuel is cheaper than the machines.
That's like where if you want to hear music in the locker room, they got the old jukeboxes that you flip like you would in a diner so that you could have personal music, at your table. That's what he has in the locker room. So you got to put in like 50 cents or $1 to do that.
They're too cheap for that. It's just got a card reader on it.
There it is. So, all right, now Wen's got it right there.
Yep. Longest tenured team, sports history. Yep.
So, all right. And now we got to the bottom of it. Anyways, so yeah, that's what's happening in baseball today. But today's the trade deadline.
It is.
I wonder if there's anything that has happened as of yet that we have not seen.
Marlins are close to trading Trevor Rogers. Is the thing that I just saw.
The Astros acquire Kikuchi, but
Yep.
that was 16 hours ago.
Braves got Jorge Soler at like 1:00 this morning.
Yep.
Brewers got Frankie Montas.
Yep. Three-team, 8-player deal. This was the one I was interested in because the Dodgers get like Kopech from the
Dodgers
White Sox.
got Tommy Edman from the Cardinals. The Cardinals got Eric Fetty from the White Sox. They also got Tommy Pham from the White Sox.
Yeah, it's been an interesting because I saw the Dodgers were involved in a couple of these three-way trades.
Dodgers are still involved with a lot of people. Oh, Dodgers also got Michael Kopech from the White Sox.
Yeah, and that's about all that I see. Everything else is just
Mariners got Justin Turner, which I mean they needed bat. They needed bats. That's a decent bat.
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean none of these names are like.
You guys got to go closer though, Pegs.
Yeah, I mean, if we ever use him,
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't been able to do anything. I haven't seen him ever pitch, so I don't know.
He throws like 97 to 100 consistently. He's good.
Well, I don't care that he throws fast. I want the movement.
Oh, he's got that. The only thing that gets him in trouble is he's got one of those like really sharp and really late breaking sliders that a lot of times he has no idea where it's going. So if he can't locate that consistently, teams just sit dead right on his fastball.
Yeah. No, I think it's just because there's too many teams that are close enough that they're not really buyers and they're not really sellers. Like they're.
Well, Ty France, was he actually playing full time with you guys?
Yes.
Because you guys wound up with the catcher, Salcedo.
Yeah, well, and Ty France was I believe he was just a release. He wasn't a trade.
No, he was traded.
He was traded.
Okay.
Yeah.
To the Reds.
Yeah.
For-
No, I went. I didn't remember if he was a full on release.
Yeah,
No,
that
no,
and
no,
money.
no,
You
no,
paid
no,
for
no.
Aspen's contract.
Watch him hit 3 homers against the Cubs tonight.
No,
That would be
exactly.
a freaking par for the freaking course.
I mean, he was our second best batter. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
He'll be in the lineup against the Cubs tonight. He'll go 3 for 4 with 3 homers and 8 RBIs. That'll be a par for the freaking course.
yeah, no, that seems right to me. Every time we let someone go, they start playing well.
I mean, freaking TJ Friedel on the Reds right now is hitting like a 209 with 5 home runs and like 18 RBIs. He's got 4 home runs and 13 RBIs against the damn Cubs. Freaking put him in like 162 games a year. The guy would be an MVP every year.
I mean, what's he doing against a real team though?
He's doing nothing. That's what I'm saying. If he played the Cubs 162 games a year, he'd be an MVP every year.
Yeah, well, I mean, if that was the case, the Mariners would win a World Series. Like, what are we talking about?
They can't hit anybody. At least Friedel can hit somebody.
What are you talking about? We just got done with the White Sox, and they outscored them 22-6.
White Sox are great.
Like, they are the best stat padding team ever.
Don't you wish that you could play the White Sox 19 times a year and try to bank like 17 wins and be like, all right, let's play 500 baseball the rest of the way. We'll win 90 games.
Yeah, I don't know if it would matter.
Me neither. But hopefully I don't know that the Phillies are going to do anything specific that's going to get them anything of worth.
Yeah.
Maybe get Bellinger.
No, he's hurt.
No, he got reinstated yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really interested in that.
got reinstated yesterday. Didn't even play, so that was a purposely useless roster spot.
Well, maybe he got reinstated for trade bait.
Yeah, that could be.
That's the purpose of reinstating him. He's not ready to play. They said it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks, 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So there's no chance. They got him on the roster specifically to trade.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Right. So that's what I suspect. I mean, I don't know for certain, but yeah, Michael Lorenzen, he pitched one great game for the Phillies, got a no-hitter, and then sucked after that. Badly. He sucked badly. But
yeah, definitely trying to get rid of him. It's not going to matter. He's not going anywhere.
yeah, I don't think so either. Well, at least he's not coming to Philly. I mean, but it wouldn't surprise me. He would be another one that would like these Dodger guys that like they like to stick together a little bit. So,
I mean, I think he would actually be beneficial in a Mariners uniform, but
yes, that he would be there.
Yeah, I don't think they do it because they're not going to pay anybody because that's just not what the Mariners do. But he actually would be a benefit to this roster.
I think that he would probably be more of a benefit to your roster than he would to any other roster. Mostly because again, somebody getting hot at the plate could spark other people getting hot at the plate.
Absolutely.
So,
that's why I didn't like the Ty France, get him out of town. The guy they brought in actually has worse numbers. So I'm not, outside of just new location, maybe that helps. It just wasn't a move that I loved. But a guy like Bellinger would be a nice addition. But again, just familiar with the ownership group here, there's no way they're doing that.
I understand. I get it 100%.
Mostly it's frustrating because you're like, there's guys available. Like, let's actually just try and do something this postseason. And instead they're like, I bet if we try really hard, we can just miss the postseason.
You know what might be a worthwhile trade? Frankie might, if Frankie's still here, he might give the thumbs up on this or not. You guys could possibly go after Giancarlo Stanton. Probably would need money involved in that, and you would have to give up pitching.
Yeah,
but that would be a worthwhile move for you guys.
Speaking of frustrating trades, the Cubs are talking to the Giants to get Blake Snell.
Yeah,
probably could have just signed him as a freaking free agent if you wanted him. So, yeah, makes no sense.
A lot of Yankees fans wouldn't be mad about that. But I think that would be something where, again, the Yankees would have to pay some money. It would have to be money. You would have to give up a prospect, but probably not a crazy prospect. And you'd wind up getting a bat who would be your DH. Yeah, I know, Robert, you don't want him, but I tell you, somebody like that might energize. Again, like I said, you're trying to spark a lineup. So I think that might actually spark it. It's not just the name. It's the fact that he was a Yankee. It was the fact that, he brings some veteran leadership into that locker room that's fairly young. So there's a lot of different reasons why I think it would be a good idea. Do I think it's the greatest idea? Not really, but it's still, if it was done right, and he's back, he's back in the lineup. He played last night for the first time in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
It might be a worthwhile thing to try to make happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here we've seen that movie before with Cano, but it's it needs something. To get the bats moving. Because I mean, when you have DHs that are batting under 200, it doesn't inspire confidence. You got one job. You're supposed to be good at hitting the ball.
Right.
And you're not hitting 200. That's a real problem. that being said, that does get us to the top of the hour. Pags, you're traveling tomorrow?
That is correct. I will not be on tomorrow.
But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. And of course, we will see you guys tomorrow. Minus Pags will be in the air. Stat Guy, I believe you are what?
I will be at practice tomorrow. Thursday I will be here, and then Friday I will not be. And then next week is up in the air based on how the weekend goes.
Gotcha. Right on. Well, cool. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.